Chairman Phillips, Commissioner Beverly, Commissioner Gillis. My name is Talib Kareem. I'm the co-founder and CEO of STEM4US. As background, I spent over 2 decades working on public policy issues here in the district. This includes serving as regulatory counsel to a member of the DC Council and as chief energy counsel to U.S. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. STEM4US is a nonprofit organization based in Washington, D.C. that works with universities, businesses, government entities, and other nonprofits to scale investments, training, and promotion of the cybersecurity and other STEM fields. Our goal is to transform the STEM workforce by creating 600,000 new cybersecurity professionals by 2030. To ensure that the STEM field reflects the rich diversity of this nation as well as the District of Columbia, we aim to ensure that at least 50% of those new cybersecurity workers are African Americans, Latinos, and women. In order to achieve this goal, STEM4US proposes what we've called the Cybersecurity Pell Grant. Under this proposal, Congress would authorize and appropriate $1.5 billion each year for a 10-year period to fund free cybersecurity-related training. This training would be offered at historically black colleges and universities and other minority-serving institutions, along with community colleges and high schools. If fully funded for 10 years, the grant could create more than 600,000 new American cybersecurity workers. I'm pleased to acknowledge that the advice of the Commission's prior chairman, the Honorable Betty Ann Kane, helped us to incubate and develop this legislative proposal. She realized, as do we, that by boosting the cybersecurity workforce in the district, the seat of the federal government, the entire nation benefits. Moreover, the Commission and other DC agencies would have an ample source of highly trained and qualified cybersecurity workers. Concerning the modernization of the district's energy delivery system for increased sustainability, we acknowledge that this is the first occasion in which we have offered input on this important development. Given the volume of materials related to this process, we cannot comment on each recommendation. We do wish to raise a few constructive points. First, we contend that as the district moves forward with the grid modernization strategy, there must be efforts to ensure that low-income consumers and communities of color benefit from the modernization of the energy delivery system. I want to depart from my comments here, or my written comments, to bring out 2 particular examples. We feel here in the District of Columbia that what is taking place is similar to what is happening across the nation, and that has been expressed by many of the commenters that I've heard thus far and people across the country as gentrification. And gentrification is not just taking place with respect to a displacement of residents, people who are living in the District of Columbia, but also the workforce itself. I want to bring to attention 2 examples of recent developments within the district's senior level workforce, and talking about DC government, in which 2 senior African American staffers were removed from their positions because their government agencies were just reorganized and they were essentially let go. And how this impacts our organization is that these, ironically, 2 individuals were long-time supporters of our organization, which is serving the needs particularly of the residents of Ward 5, 7, and 8, who have historically been adversely impacted by modernization and other developments. And so when we think about how modernization is going to take effect here in the District of Columbia, I think it's absolutely imperative that the Commission, as well as those entities that are regulated, do all they can to ensure that this gentrification is abated and is halted. Because the wealth of the District of Columbia is really rooted in the richness of its diversity. One of the things that makes us different, for example, from the capital of China or the capital of India, is that we don't have just a monolithic workforce. We have a workforce that is diverse. And as an engineer, before going to law school, I can say that the best ideas are incubated by people of diverse viewpoints. And if you eliminate those viewpoints, if you eliminate that diversity, then you eliminate I believe, the competitive advantage that our nation possesses. So with that in mind, what we have recommended, as you'll see in our testimony, is what we've called the implementation of the Berry Rule. The NFL has the Rooney Rule, but we here in the District of Columbia should create the Berry Rule of energy modernization. So what is this? The Berry Rule is simple. When I was a young law student, I had the great fortune of attending what I believe is the best university for incubating lawyers, and that's Howard University. And at that university, I was hired by a young small law firm to work on a multi-million-dollar contract. It was a contract to create some development and construction relating to the Washington Metropolitan Airports Authority. And she got this contract solely because at that time, Mayor Berry had implemented a policy that required each contract that was issued by the district's general counsel to have a co-counsel relationship. So there were two attorneys or two law firms on every contract, and at least one of those counsels had to be either a woman or a person of color. I believe that the same policy should be implemented with respect to the energy modernization of the District of Columbia. And so that would be that every contract that was issued from the beginning of this process on to the end should have at least two partners, and at least one of those should be either a person of color and or woman. And in fact, additional attention should be paid to those with a long-standing relationship with the district. I'll conclude, and as I see my time is ending, by saying that this is going to be a topic of discussion at a June 25th conversation that we've invited Chairman Phillips to attend, and we're inviting everybody else also to attend, on efforts to protect both the energy grid as well as the telecommunications network here in the the region. And this is being held in partnership with the Sustainable Energy Utility at their offices, and we invite each and every one of you all to attend. Again, Chairman Phillips, Commissioner Beverly, and Commissioner Gillis, it's an honor to come before you and speak on this important initiative, and we look forward to working with all the stakeholders involved. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. It's always good to see you, and I thank the panel. Now, according to my notes, you are dismissed.